clever pun. The Conversation.
Are you free to like Berri's place?
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Gibbon, but you can call me Jem.
Hi, Jem. It's been a while since we've done a Conker episode on the Kongversation. And, this year marked the 25th anniversary of Conker's Bad Fur Day. And the thing about that is it's in early March, and the Kongversations season started a few days after. And because we had like a backlog of stuff to talk about, first up being Dixie Kong in Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, I never acknowledged Conker's Bad Fur Day's 25th anniversary on the podcast. But, who can blame me, really? One of the things that Rare has generally always championed and been known for among its fandom is how they have created a stable of strong female characters at a time when that wasn't really commonplace, at least in mainstream video games. Even in the kid-coded DKU, they had Dixie Kong, they had Tiny Kong, Kazooie, and that's not even getting into like Joanna Dark. And those are all characters who weren't designed to be damsels in distress. They were not designed with sex appeal in mind first and foremost. Even later on, even like Crystal.
I was about to say.
Crystal and Dinosaur Planet / Star Fox Adventures. She was very much designed with sex appeal in mind and very much ultimately became a damsel in distress by the time her game was released. But she then went on to have a pretty strong showing in subsequent Star Fox games before they rolled back the timeline to before she joined the team. And I would say that's a pretty good track record, all things considered. Thinking about all of that, though, thinking about Conker's anniversary, I was like, it's a shame we didn't actually touch upon that. Oh, well. But then the gears, or I guess you could say, in this case, the cogs,
problematic cogs.
The problematic cogs began churning in my head, Jem, because just on the last episode, Josh Wallen from Off of the Geek Critique and we discussed the recently uploaded E3 1997 footage of Conker's Quest when it was announced to the world at E3 97 as then Rare's first self-published game, which would quickly be usurped by Diddy Kong Racing, and wasn't even the first Conker game they self-published. It was Conker's Pocket Tales in 1999. More on that in a bit, but we talked about Conker, and over the course of a few days since we did that episode and I edited that episode and I uploaded that episode, I began thinking more and more about this early iteration of Conker and specifically how we perceived Conker in 1997 and 1998 and 1999 and the trajectory of the Conker series, where it actually went, of course, and specifically the leading lady of the Conker series, because like Crystal, she was originally designed to be the co-lead of that debut game in the series. And like Crystal, she's gone through some heavy design changes.
Some top-heavy design changes.
Yeah. And possible design changes where it just does not actually work on a living creature. There is no way.
Not without a lot of surgery, anyway.
Well, I was going to say, by the time of Live and Reloaded, it's farcical, this character's design. But unlike Crystal, who went on to have kind of a redemption run during the GameCube and DS era, this character died in her second appearance. And unlike other famed Rare character and champion of womankind everywhere, Wrinkly Kong, Berri hasn't come back to haunt us in the quarter century she's been gone. She's just stayed dead.
She was gonna, to be fair.
To be fair.
But,
but she hasn't. She's still dead. 25 years on, we're talking about Berri the Chipmunk on this episode of The Kongversation.
There's so many series revivals these days. Other Bad Day is going to happen any day now.
We'll see. And we'll see if Berri actually has a place in it. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. A character witness on, I would say, a DKU mainstay who really doesn't have much of a defined character, at least in the hardcore canon. You can headcanon all of this and make it all make sense. I'm just talking about what we are presented, what's in the text.
I think we'll see that she does have a bit of a character. It's just not as well defined as Conker, because he's the one you actually got to play as through all of it.
Sure. Well, we'll try to see if we can glean new revelations, new understandings of Berri, the leading DKU rare star that never was, on this episode of The Kongversation. Really quick, though, we live stream these episodes for our $5 plus patrons. Hello to Marchrose, hello to TJ, hello to Traveler of the Stars, hello to Skips. How are you all doing on this afternoon? Thank you for joining us. Of course, you can become a DKVine patron by visiting patreon.com/DKVine or vice versa. Jem, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just signed paperwork for a new job finally.
Oh, so. Terrific. Was it Kongversation co-host?
That'd be nice. Are you paying me this time?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then you can return that paperwork. You don't need to sign it.
Whatever. But yeah, no. So that's nice. I've got a few weeks before my start date, so I'm just kind of relaxing for a bit.
You're just relaxing, talking about cartoon chipmunks who are gunned down in outer space.
Yeah. You know, as one does.
Well, thank you for being here. You know, whenever there's a Conker or Donkey Kong arcade related episode, I, like to break the glass and, free you on occasion. Have you gotten the Donkey Kong arcade Lego set yet?
I haven't. I haven't been employed for over a year, so I have no money whatsoever.
Are you going to be getting that?
Oh, yeah. No, first paycheck.
Okay. Yeah, I just had to pre-order the Banjo-Kazooie double pack coming out.
Yeah, no, that's also on the list. I have a list of things that money will be going to. Yeah.
So yeah, money's very, very tight here right now, given that they doubled the website cost on me.
Yeah. I'm feeling that too. I'm seriously debating whether I need to keep my personal website up or not.
Oh, yeah. It's rough right now. It's rough right now for anybody trying to make ends meet, which is pretty much anybody who is not born wealthy.
It's getting harder to switch over to a new hosting service because they keep getting bought up by the same hosting services.
Everything is great.
I'm pretty sure we're on the same hosting service now, even though we started on completely different ones.
Yeah, it's fitting that we're all just having bad fur days these days. But
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit then about Berri the Chipmunk. And I want to go all the way back to her conception, what was originally planned for her. On these character witness episodes, I like to keep things pretty much on an in-universe basis, like things that are canon or that can be surmised to be like this character's in-universe story.
I think there's an argument to be had for some of these that some version of these events still happened?
Well, I would say that, for sure Pocket Tales happened, because I know...
For sure Pocket Tales happened, but Conker's, already established as, someone who goes off on adventures and stuff. And, I don't know if there's any explicit references to, the events of 12 Tales, but, Pocket Tales was the accompanying side game. It was the Donkey Kong Land, too. 12 Tales.
Although it kind of just became its own thing, really.
Yeah.
I would say that while the Kongs met Conker on some sort of adventure, on some sort of little expedition, presumably to Willow Woods or the Panther Kingdom, Donkey and Diddy did meet and befriend Conker at some point between Donkey Kong Country and Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know if we can say, oh yeah, the events of 12 Tales definitely happened. I think that given that Pocket Tales canonized some aspects of it, we can go off of that. But I'm also not in agreement with Chris Seaver that like Pocket Tales is just non-canon because...
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
For as much as I love Chris Seaver and appreciate his work and love everything he's ever been involved with, that's not how this works.
You can't get that pee out of the pool. Once you go wee-wee, it stays floating in the water.
I actually think it enriches Conker's character to have this arc from 12 Tales and Pocket Tales to Bad Fur Day and beyond.
I've always argued that Bad Fur Day would not work unless you have that prior game.
Yeah, no. If you just announced and released Bad Fur Day without any of the stuff before it existing or having been announced or anything, you just have another like Mayhem or like any other Gibbon knockoff edgy animal mascot platformer from like the PS1 or PS2 era that just like is nothing because there's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that Conker debuted in Diddy Kong Racing, went on to have an all ages handheld romp in Pocket Tales, and then you had the Subversion, and then you had the Bad Fur Day, the just like this character who has kind of veered from their heroic noble path and has veered into just the bad part of the Rare Archipelago, the seediest, most depraved corner. It really does like make
of Grunty's bedroom.
Well, yeah. Beyond what goes on behind closed doors with various characters, I would say like Bad Fur Day like has its niche carved out for it because
the factory where they assemble the Vendies.
Because you have that subversion, and it does then just work as this like third pillar of what we define as the DKU as a result. But yeah, the original plans for Conker's Quest, or 12 Tales, Conker 64 as it became to be known, we've seen, thanks to the E3 1997 footage, that on the file select screen, or the game's like loading screen, that Berri likely started off in a color scheme very similar to where she eventually wound up in Bad Fur Day, where she had gray fur, she had green eyes, and blonde hair. The only thing is these were on the proportions of a small, cute chipmunk character.
I wonder if they realized that's a winter coat color scheme.
I think maybe like they wanted to, I don't know, make it visually closer to Conker at the time. I'm not sure. I do very much like the way they switched up Berri. Now, in screenshots, she's kind of got pink fur or brown fur depending on the screenshot, depending on like what time you're looking at it. And I don't know if it's just a resolution thing or if they actually tweaked her a little bit.
I think it was probably for more like at a glance visual clarity. Like in early Conker stuff, he's got the blue on the front of his shirt, and I think it's the yellow on the back of his shirt. And they did that with a lot of their characters so that you could like at a glance tell at any like camera depth, like, oh, they're facing the camera, they're facing away from the camera, or like they're facing this way or that way, and they've got a clearly defined silhouette and stuff. And I think they probably just decided that the light gray and white and blonde hair just kind of faded into the environment as you pulled the camera back, or if you were doing any like rapid camera swinging or something. So the darker colors and harsher outline served that purpose.
Yeah, and like, so she became a brunette. Her hair became kind of reddish, auburn brown, and she then, like, she kind of had similar clothing to Conker. Her top, Conker's was blue and yellow. Hers is red and blue on the back. And she's got a plaid skirt that...
Yeah, that plaid skirt that every girl who likes to pretend she's punk in the 90s and early aughts wore after picking it up from Hot Topic. I don't have 3 of them in my closet. I don't know what you're talking about.
To be fair, she might really be punk, considering the skirt actually goes up above her waist, which is a pretty bold... Fair. That's a pretty bold fashion statement, and I have to give it to her to have the courage to rock that. And like Conker, she's kind of got off-brand Converse shoes.
Yeah. Only hers are like a dark red instead of a blue.
Yeah, and she's actually wearing socks, unlike Conker. So
yeah, I don't know anybody does that. So.
But yeah, like I actually like this early Berri design. And like I said, her fur kind of reads as pinkish at times or brown, depending on the render or screenshot you're looking at. It's mostly pink in the renders, and
it might just be a product of the lighting, which Rare was probably already fiddling around with at that point in time.
Yeah. And so at this point in the game, in the early stages of Conker, Berri was conceived as kind of a vaguely platonic friend of Conker. And the thing is, though, she was going to be the co-lead of Conker's Quest /12 Tales. Even though it was called, Conker 64, Berri was very much going to be the other half of the game, because she was going to be playable with her own gameplay and game mechanics that were going to differ wildly from Conker.
That's actually a really bold choice, honestly.
So, yeah, let me read this description on the Rareware website about how they conceived it at the time. So there was to be, quote, markedly different one-player games depending on whether you choose to play as Conker, which would be arcade style with a wide range of direct attacks on offer, or Berri, which was more strategy-led with a monster companion doing most of the rough stuff, provided you keep it well-fed and contented. Which I know you have pointed out sounds like Nibla in Fish Food Frenzy.
It's a concept they've been playing around with already in other spaces, and like Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie brought a lot of stuff from like DKC2 and 3 to the N64 and expanded upon it. It looks like they were going to be doing similar here, and I just think that's really cool.
Yes, and what's also really cool is, judging from the screenshots we have that were released back, over 29 years ago at this point, we can see that Berri's monster companion looked to be a small purple dinosaur named Bloopy, who, of course, was eventually reworked in Bad Fur Day as the baby dinosaur.
He was reworked, all right.
Yeah, reworked down to the bone as the baby dinosaur that Conker sacrificed in the Ooga Booga world.
Sure did.
Yeah.
I guess that's the final word on Berri's gameplay.
Yeah, and of course, as much as I think Conker has a very, very interesting character arc, when you factor in everything from Diddy Kong Racing to, say, Big Reunion, I think that the sin of Conker murdering Bloopy is what still makes it hard for me to forgive him as a character.
It's just a standout spot in a bad way, because like you can he's got a clear character arc throughout the rest of the game, but then there's just that in the middle of it.
Yeah. It's like you're going to have to be a Tony for that for the rest of your life, buddy. I'm sorry.
I got to imagine that was just sort of like an in-joke from the devs because of the history of this is how like Berri stuff is going to go.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I agree. It's an in-joke, but it reads as, oh, you just murdered this adorable little creature for...
And double down on it in the strategy guide, which is like written as if it's a tour pamphlet, like a sightseeing pamphlet for the area that Conker has like scribbled notes in the margins of. When they're talking about Bloopy, Conker's little note is, maybe we should rename him Patty.
Jeez.
It's like, come on.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Yeah, in another timeline, Bloopy would have had a good life as, like, Berri's pet / companion.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen. That did not happen. And, looking back on the way Berri was designed and the way she looks in these screenshots and video footage, I love that her ponytail is even bigger than Dixie Kong's. It's basically like wider than her entire body. And
yeah, it's basically just Conker's squirrel tail, but stable to the back of her head instead of her butt.
I mean, yeah, Dixie's ponytail is effectively Diddy's tail, just out of her skull. So, it's the kind of the same thing, but I do really like her design. It does stand out from Conker, and that's ultimately not what most people would know her as, but
yeah, ultimately.
Unlike Crystal's early design before she was changed when Fox McCloud joined her game, this iteration of Berri did become canon. It did become the way she looked early on in universe. And the first time we actually saw it wasn't Conker. It wasn't Conker's Pocket Tales. It was in a small Easter egg in Banjo-Kazooie in 1998. There is an autographed picture of Berri hanging on the wall or above a Seaman Grublin's bunk aboard the Rusty Bucket in Rusty Bucket Bay. And I remember seeing this back in the summer of 98, and I remember pointing it out. I was like, oh, that's Berri. She's going to be in Conker. And I was very excited about the foreshadowing, about the world building. I thought that was just so cool that Rare did that.
I love little stuff like that. It's nice touches that just make the world feel like a real place where things exist outside of the scope of the game you're playing.
Yeah, it's always been something that Rare's really excelled at, or, especially during this time when they had dozens of projects in the works and they were able to just kind of seed here and there and call back, call forward, do some like parallel promotion. And of course, that they were going to put the windmill as a portrait in Napper's dining room, which I thought that was cool. But I think as far as like scaling it back, if they're going to do anything, I like that it was a character, and I like that it wasn't Conker, at least on the N64 version. Of course, when it came time for the XBLA version a decade later, they did switch this out to Conker, which I feel is the coward's path.
They could have at least changed it to be like the Bad Fur Day model of Berri.
No. Stick to this version of Berri. Make it a Pocket Tales reference. I don't care. This is superior to either idea. Like, I love that it's just early Berri here in the Rusty Bucket. Deal with it. And I love that in the Super Pocket edition of Banjo-Kazooie, it's Berri again.
Yep. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah. So even accounting for the meta nature of Rare and the DKU and the fact that everybody seems to know they're in a video game, or that video games are being adapted from their adventures, and that they're just video game heroes, they're video game stars. Berri wasn't in a video game at this point. Initially Conker was supposed to follow close behind Banjo-Kazooie. Ultimately, that did not happen, but it does make me question the nature of this autographed picture of Berri. It's like, well, why is there an autographed picture of her when she has no notoriety? I know you suggested that, maybe some iteration of Conker's Quest 12 Tales happens in universe, and we just aren't privy to it. But then that kind of breaks the meta nature of, if they're video game heroes, you kind of need an actual video game attached to it. So, I mean, it's our argument of why the modern Donkey Kong is an adult Donkey Kong Jr., because if he's a video game hero that Diddy is emulating, what the fuck has he done? He would have to have done something, and that points to Donkey Kong Jr.
Well, plus all of the other evidence. But yes, I take your point.
I'm trying to keep it simple. I don't want to be here for 4 hours arguing all these ancillary points. I'm just trying to, like, baseline. That's what we point to. But so in my headcanon, and this was my headcanon back in 1998 before I had a website to vomit out all my ideas onto. But I was like, oh, maybe Berri is some sort of, like, in-universe celebrity, like some sort of, like, minor 90s pop star. Or maybe she was on the Rare Archipelago equivalent of, like, a Disney Channel or Nickelodeon show. I don't know. We don't really know much about Berri's early life, do we?
We don't, but she definitely seems to have her shit together more than Conker does.
At least at this point. Well, even in Bad Fur Day, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I could see her being like some like best friend character on some sort of like Willow Woods version of Nickelodeon. I mean,
oh God,
minus like Dan Schneider, although he would fit right at home in the Panther Kingdom.
The Great Mighty Slime.
Although he'd probably want to venture down to Playtonic's neck of the woods, given all the feet.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, a little foreshadowing for Berri, but she wouldn't physically appear. She wouldn't make her proper video game debut until a little under a year later, or just about a year later, actually, when Conker's Pocket Tales came out for the Game Boy Color and or the Game Boy. One cartridge, 2 different games, depending on which hardware you played it on. And, Berri's pretty much as she would have appeared in 12 Tales here. I mean, she doesn't have the furry rendering, the furry shenanigans.
Yeah, it's more of a matte texture here. But...
Yeah, it's more basic. It's more scaled down, but it's still her basic design from what was going to be her N64 appearance. And it's in Pocket Tales where it's established that she lives in Willow Woods, like Conker does. And she's already Conker's good friend at this point. Like, we don't see or learn how they meet. They're just in each other's orbit. And Berri is throwing a surprise birthday party for Conker. And their relationship is seemingly platonic at this point, at least at the start of the game. They're just established as friends. And let's read the bios in the instruction manual, Jem. Would you like to read Conker?
Sure. Above, under the good guys, it says, Conker. Conker's always been a sucker for a good adventure, but in taking Berri prisoner and stealing all those unopened presents, the evil acorn has gone too far.
And then Berri, it says, Berri's confident that Conker will come after her, but will the traps and enemies thrown in his path prove too much for her furry friend? So, this is the rare where description, which, for Berri, which also doubled as her 12 Tales page character bio. The languages take you to the same place whenever you clicked on it from either game page. Fond as she is of the endlessly energetic Conker, Berri has found that life's much easier if she leaves him to his exploration when he starts to get itchy feet. Unless, that is, the reason behind it involves her too, in which case she'll join in the quest with every last bit of determination she can muster. And whether Conker knows it or not, Berri's a match for him in every way when it comes to adventuring, though she never could resist jumping in when something needed looking after. Which is a little reference to Bloopy, of course, which Bloopy did not appear in Pocket Tales.
Bloopy not appearing in this picture.
Bloopy wasn't actually born yet, according to the canon. And, So yeah, Berri is not the co-lead of Pocket Tales. It's just a Conker solo game. Berri is abducted at the start when evil Acorn pops out of the cake and absconds with her and Conker's presence.
I wonder if that was his plan, or if he thought the cake was for, like, a risque acorn club or something.
Oh, yeah, he's actually a male dancer, and he just, he was there to put on a show, and then he realized he wasn't hired for this, and then he panicked, and just freaked out.
Kidnapped her on instinct.
Well, I think given his name is Evil Acorn, and that's a moniker he embraces.
Fair enough. Some people are just, they grow into their names.
Yeah, I really hope he wasn't named Evil Acorn, because that really didn't set him up for much in life.
Yeah.
I think that his name is probably like Earl the Acorn, and he just
Earl the Acorn.
He just decided to become Evil Acorn.
Got crappy handwriting, and people keep mistaking the R for a V.
Yeah, so we don't really know much about why the Evil Acorn hates Conker and Berri so much. It's never addressed, and you might say, well, that clearly would have come up in 12 Tales. I don't think Evil Acorn
Berri does point out that Conker's a furry here. Maybe he's prejudiced.
I don't think Evil Acorn was going to be a character in the N64 game. I think this was a wholesale creation of the Pocket Tales team. They wanted to give enough room to what the Conker team was doing on the N64 to not like step on their toes. So they just created their own antagonist, and he's utterly shit, and we love him for that.
Oh, we love him so much.
Like, I'm not here to argue that the Evil Acorn is a good character. He objectively sucks. He's just terrible. Out of the pantheon of DKU villains, nobody is standing Evil Acorn for anything but irony. But God, it's just so ludicrous that it just about works.
Yeah.
Like K. Rool.
And then at the end, he gets shunted into space with the rest of Conker's adversaries.
And loved ones. Yeah, it's perfect. No, like K. Rool, great villain. He's got so much depth and nuance, and it only grew as the years went on. Gruntilda, so much fun, so well written. Panther King and the Professor, interesting. They've got a lot of implied history. Evil Acorn, he's an evil acorn. That's it.
Yep.
That's fucking it.
Mm-hmm. It's so great.
It's so dumb. It's such a piss take. Like, you could even make the argument that the entirety of the Conker series, even when you factor in Pocket Tales, is nothing but one long piss take on video games.
Yeah, especially the Boiler Room chapter.
Especially the Boiler Room challenge. I don't know why Evil Acorn is really after Conker or after Berri, who he's really after here. Because he kidnaps Berri. Is that to get at Conker? Or is that to like hold Berri for ransom because she's a minor celebrity? She's on that Nickelodeon show. I don't know. Like, he's just evil, and this is what he does. Yep. He's like, I've got to kidnap her, and I've got to take Conker's presence for the extra insult to injury. I've got to just be an evil acorn. It's in my nature. It's what I do. And that's the last we really see of Berri until the end of the game. She does routinely get threatened by the evil acorn when the evil acorn has his little dialogue when he pops up to threaten Conker as the game goes on. He does threaten to murder Berri at various points in time. And yes, he specifically says, I'm going to kill Berri. Like, they don't sugarcoat it. They don't use any nuance or like hide it behind cutesy language or leave any plausible deniability. Evil acorn says, I'm going to kill Berri. I'm going to murder Berri. Ha ha ha. And you're like, what the fuck? Clearly nobody is paying attention.
Yeah, even in Pocket Tales, Conker's being the more mature series.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention at the ESRB at this point. It's fine. They just look at the box art and they're like, yeah, whatever, E for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have much to say about Berri in Pocket Tales because she is then rescued. She's being held in the catacombs at the very end of the game, and you rescue her, but then the evil acorn says, I'm gonna fucking blow up these catacombs, and you have to escape before the timer ticks down. And then the big explosion rocks the entirety of Willow Woods. evil acorn gets launched into outer space, and he says, "I'll get you, squirrel." Spoilers, he never has. And then Conker and Berri have another party. This time they invite all of the friendly acorn people they met along the way, like Ted the boat builder and those insensitive indigenous acorn people outside of Vultureville. They're there too. And then it ends by having Conker and Berri walk hand in hand by the lake under the moonlight, and it's implied that there's now a romantic spark brewing between them. And I thought, okay, they're together now. They're fucking, as they say. But something has come out about a decade ago that might imply that it didn't really blossom that quickly. Like, maybe the seeds were planted, but it was still growing at some length of time after the events of Pocket Tales. Because even though in real time Pocket Tales was followed in 2001 by Conker's Bad Fur Day, in the time since we have had much maligned, seldom played interquel between the two.
Yeah, I can confirm that 3 people at least have played this game.
I was going to say, I think only 3 people have played this game. There's you, there's that other person on YouTube that uploaded like part of the game.
And there's the other person on YouTube. Yeah,
there's the other person on YouTube.
People.
Let's just say, for safety's sake, there's a 4th person out there who's not online, but somehow owned a Microsoft HoloLens.
I know there's people on like the HoloLens dev team that have played it.
Okay, that doesn't count.
I used to work
it counts.
With a couple of them, but,
it counts, but it doesn't count. If you worked on a dev team for the HoloLens, or you made this game, I'm going to just not count you as part of the audience.
Members of the general public.
Yeah. This is so frustrating for me, the existence of this game. And it's not frustrating for the reasons that most people hold it to be frustrating. Because, yes, I admit, when the trailer premiered, I thought, oh no. But in the years since, I have actually watched the footage you uploaded. I watched the footage.
Oh, you did? Finally? Awesome.
Yeah, because I'm probably never going to play this unless you bring me a HoloLens.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to have to take now, because they took the store page down.
I actually watched it in preparation for this episode, but in my show notes, I still wrote, Jem, help me out here, because Young Conker is probably the most elusive game in the entire DKU, and I'm including things like the arcade Mario Karts. I'm including Japanese-only releases that most people in the West haven't procured. I'm including things like Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze, because I would wager, with the little money I have to my name, that fewer people have played Young Conker than any of those other titles.
Oh, for sure. And you cannot get it anymore. So, maybe someday I will figure out how to jailbreak my HoloLens and upload a ROM somewhere, but it hasn't happened yet. So.
I would appreciate that. I think the DK Vine community, the DKU fandom would appreciate that, because here's the thing about Young Conker. Can we just say, because I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, ew, Young Conker, fuck that, oh. But I know it was introduced in a very, very poor manner. Yeah, and I know it's for a piece of hardware that's prohibitively expensive, that was never really made available to the general public. No. And it's a Microsoft product that isn't even Xbox. So I get the aversion. And I get that, yes, Conker's model in isolation looks to be far too abstract and ugly, gangly even, to really read as the same character. But when I was watching the footage of it, and to be fair, I did watch some footage of it years ago just to kind of get a read on it. And this is where my position on Young Conker actually started to soften, because I thought, hey, this is actually pretty neat.
Yeah. And I very much apologize for the state of my apartment in those videos.
Well, explain young Conker to the other, like, aside from the 4 people who have played it, including yourself?
So Young Conker is a game for the Microsoft HoloLens, which is an augmented reality headset, which means it's got a clear visor in the front, unlike a virtual reality headset. And what you are seeing is being projected out into the real world. It does a scan of the room you're in and does a bunch of complicated math stuff I'm not going to get into here.
Donkey Kong Jr. math?
Yeah, it even more so, the hard mode.
That's another game DK Jr. starred in.
And it maps the environment you're in and can project virtual things into it. In this case, the video game Young Conker, where you are leading Conker around, and various obstacles and enemies and stuff populate the room you're in, or in some cases, the walls of the room you're in, and the ceiling of the room you're in, or just ambiently in the room.
Are you telling me Conker might be in my walls right now?
Oh, 100%. It's actually really neat. Like the original announce video said, like, the technology can recognize that, oh, that thing you scanned over there is a couch. Couches are kind of bouncy, so when Conker's running on that, he'll be able to, like, bounce and do a high jump off of it, sort of thing. And so when it's kind of randomly laying out the level geometry, it takes stuff like that into account, which is really cool, objectively speaking. But it's also, like, as you said, it's vastly prohibitive cost-wise. Even if you can afford it, you don't necessarily have a good space to play it in. It kind of requires the area you've set it up in to be pretty tidy and have, like, good lighting. If you have watched my videos, I apologize. The state of my apartment was not great at the time. Those weren't meant to be put public. Those were supposed to just be for, like, internal DK Vine use. But those were recorded right before the pandemic, and my apartment only got more cluttered after that because I had to bring a bunch of stuff from work home.
I wasn't going to say anything, Jim, because right now my desk isn't much better. And to be fair, it's mostly just DKU garbage all about my desk, but yeah, it looked like you were a bit of a hoarder there.
No, it was just, the apartment complex had been doing some maintenance, so a lot of stuff was kind of out in the open. My apartment's in a much nicer state now. I've been thinking about re-recording some of that footage.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, yeah, so Young Conker is, contrary to the title, it takes place between Pocket Tales and Bad Fur Day. At the very least, it's a prequel to Bad Fur Day, but, like, it's already established that Conker is a bit of a hero, and so is Berri at this point. They're both working for the Squirrel High Command. They're doing the James Bond thing. The Z Professor, who is referred to by his other name in-game, and I cringe every time.
Oh, really? 2016, they still called him that?
Yep.
So we're not going to say it here, but for those who don't know, there's a reason that DK Vine internally always refers to him as the Professor, because his actual full name contains a slur, which I think is more well known in the UK than it is elsewhere. But we're not going to say that slur, and that kind of shocks me that Young Conker actually still uses it.
It's not the longest thing in the world. I did, my videos show that I did a run through of the main spy campaign in about 3 hours or so. The arduous bit of it is, like, those were all recorded on separate days because it is a bit much to wear the headset for a lengthy period of time. If you manage to get a hold of the HoloLens Model 2, it has much better weight distribution, so it's much more comfortable to wear. And if and when I ever get a hold of one, I might see if I can do, like, an all-in-one sitting playthrough recording. But the plot is that Z Professor has gotten a hold of a ham-slicing laser and modified it into a doomsday weapon, and the Squirrel High Command is sending out Conker to deal with it. Berri in the game is still, like in 12 Tales and Pocket Tales, the same height and build as Conker, but she's got much lighter fur, now sporting the gray instead of the brown, and she's lost the ponytail, and she must have bleached recently because her hair is all white, hasn't quite gone full bottle blonde yet.
So yeah, I was. This is actually okay. So this is actually kind of the Rosetta Stone to what Berri's natural fur and hair color might be, because when I saw the blonde Berri in the Conker's Quest footage, which to be fair was also visible in the Rare Revealed video for Rare Replay that they uploaded with Louise O'Connor, who, by the way, voices Berri in Bad Fur Day.
And not in this, although they got a good sound-alike.
It is Chris Seaver in Young Conker, though,
It's
right?
Chris Seaver, and I asked O'Connor on Twitter back in the day if that was her in this as well, and she's like, nope, they didn't contact me. So I don't know who they got.
That's so funny, considering she was still at Rare at the time, and Chris Seaver wasn't.
Yeah, I was surprised. But this was made by Team Asobi? I can never remember which one it is.
I thought it was Asobo, but yeah.
Asobi's a different studio. They're more well known for the Plague Tale games, which also started on HoloLens, and doing the modern iterations of Microsoft Flight Simulator. But this was actually one of their first Microsoft collaborations. So this is where it all started.
Yeah, so I would say that Berri, as I was saying, she is a dyed blonde.
Yeah,
she's a dye job on the blonde side of things. Like I was thinking maybe if she went through this like punk stage, maybe like she dyed her hair like darker, and you know. But no, I would say that this is actually when she was transitioning to be a blonde, and you're right, she bleached her hair in preparation for it, but then had to go on this spy mission for the SHC and didn't actually finish until afterwards.
Yeah, her role in this is she's playing deep cover. She's already infiltrated the professor's lair and is providing you, and I do mean you with a capital Y, and Conker, intel throughout the game. You are a character in this game. Conker and Berri are the only ones who seem aware of the fourth wall and regularly communicate with you, and occasionally they'll try to point you out to other characters who just have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds neat.
Yeah. No, the writing in this game is great, actually. Like, when security guards are chasing you around, they'll be like, well, at least I'm getting my steps in. They make little, like, foreshadowing jokes about, like, the professor, like, offers Conker a drink before they get down to their fight. And Conker's like, no, I don't drink. Sorry. And just stuff like that.
Oh, man. I want to play this.
No, this isn't
great. Fair. This isn't fair.
The professor actually asks you to like wait 20 minutes because he's not done setting up all the traps yet and stuff. When some scenes where Conker and Berri are like together in the same room, Conker makes a note about like, oh, I'd never let you die, Berri, and just like, oh. But yeah, so mechanically she's basically the tutorial. In every level they introduce new stuff in almost every level, and you can like look around and like highlight it with your little either like clicker pointer or with your little hand gestures, and Berri will explain to you what that is and how you should deal with it. She does get kidnapped by the professor at the end of Act 1. You rescue her a few missions later, and while she's kidnapped, she doesn't stop providing intel. She changes to a different frequency and keeps providing intel. It doesn't slow her down at all. I'm almost positive she let it happen on purpose. The game's great. Like it even gives a backstory to Conker's frying pan from Bad Fur Day. Like now when I go back and play Bad Fur Day and Conker's like, oh, there's something missing. Oh, right, my frying pan. I'm like, oh, hey, there's context behind that now. The game deserves way more credit than it gets.
The problem is nobody's played it and nobody can play it.
Yep, pretty much. I'm going to jailbreak it one of these days. they've manually blacklisted it from being played on the HoloLens dev emulator.
Jesus.
And I know they've also manually blacklisted it from being played in the old Microsoft VR headset that was on the market for a brief period of time. And if I can figure out how to get around those, if I can figure out where that blacklist is and remove it, I can load it up on a computer and maybe repackage it somehow. It's a work. I've been working on it for years. I'll get it someday.
I think it's required at this point because it's so rare, no pun intended, that we get a missing piece of like in-universe lore like this. Like this is almost like to Conker what Grunty's Revenge is to Banjo-Kazooie. Where
it's so much is. It's so great.
Even just the idea that, like, what did Conker and Berri do between Pocket Tales and Bad Fur Day? Well, maybe they had a taste for heroics at that point, and they decided to join the SHC during this almost Cold War with the Professor in the lead up to the war with the Teddies.
Yeah, and like they flirt a lot in this game. Like they're not going out yet, but everyone just kind of keeps referencing it. Like I think she gets called his little squirrel friend at one point. And like they have several moments, but then she's like, Conker, we're in the middle of a mission. Get back to work.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it's very much like a nice, like perfect in-between piece. And yeah, she's just cool and confident. They're obviously got a thing for each other, but they're not like dating. Yeah.
Well,
too bad it turned out how it did.
I mean, yeah, we just need to make it accessible. So that's your mission from this point on. No more podcast appearances, nothing else. You just have to jailbreak it. Jailbreak it like Conker in Vultureville, am I right?
There's so much good stuff in this game. At one point, you have to get past a high-tech satellite security system by giving it some satellite dish magazine porn to distract it.
I like how it's like veered into the realm of Bad Fur Day, but not quite yet. It's like
the Moneypenny character at SHC is Miss Filing Cabinet. And
yes.
Just a filing cabinet with googly eyes, and Conker makes they have a little James Bond back and forth, and she makes comments about him always trying to get into her drawers.
Oh, yeah. So it was Miss Filing Cabinet and the Globe.
The Globe.
That's kind of what warmed me up to this. I was like, wait a second. Okay.
The game menu is also anthropomorphic, and his design reminds me a lot of some characters in Rayman, which I think reveals the studio's French origins, and just the whole thing's got a nice spin on it.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing to people is that this wasn't just a cheap cash-in, that it actually had some thought and care put behind it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even know if you could call it a cash-in, considering it was for hardware that was never commercially released.
It was also free. So
yeah. So the exact opposite of a cash-in. Like they made something for a device that, one, the software didn't cost money, and two, nobody could get the device. So really, it could be nothing but a labor of love. And so I do want to play it, but it is a cool little missing piece between Pocket Tales and Bad Fur Day. And it's the kind of thing I honestly would have loved to have seen have wider distribution because of that, because I always thought there was an opportunity to go back and play in that area of the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it comfortably just sits in that, like, turn of the millennium, year 2000 gap between Pocket Tales and Bad Fur Day, and just kind of shows what they were doing, like a year on from Evil Acorn and a year out from the Panther King. So,
Traveler of the Stars says, my question is, why is it Conker, though? Like, why did they do young Conker, even?
Probably the same reason Project Spark was Conker. The studio was willing to loan him out.
I do think that the studio regretted this after the backlash to young Conker came about. Like, no slight towards the actual end product, but I think they got a lot more lower C conservative about doing this kind of thing after young Conker became like this online catastrophe. Like back when YouTube visibly showed how many downvotes a video got, like this was famous for having like so many downvotes compared to upvotes.
There was so much misinformation about it, though. Like, Wikipedia for the longest time listed the game as canceled and never releasing, and I'm like, what? And like, I talked to Chris Seaver and a couple other Rare people about it, and like, the only bad thing Seaver had to say about it was like he wasn't too keen on the design. He said he liked recording the lines and that he liked the script, and just like he was kind of under the impression that they were going to be using the big reunion renders and stuff for this as well. So he was a little surprised when he actually saw the footage.
Yeah. I mean, I think the designs work in the context of the AR kind of graphics.
Even the video I recorded doesn't really do it justice, because the recording's only showing that like that rectangular square of the viewport. When you've got the AR helmet on, it really is like 180 degree view screen. So, and you have to remember that you're looking down at these characters from however tall your eye line is down to the floor, potentially. So the fact that they've got like big head and large eyes, it's very much a like you're going to be looking down at these characters, and they have to be able to do like all of the emoting and like facial gestures and stuff that they are known for, and still be able to like be read at that distance.
One of these days, maybe, I will finally get to play it. But we know then, thanks to young Conker, that, you know, Conker and Berri did have a spell as kind of these, like, heroic spy figures infiltrating the professor's lab machinations in the lead up to the Teddy's War. But by the time that the Teddy's War broke out in 2001, and the time of Conker's Bad Fur Day, Conker and Berri have both dramatically changed. And their character evolution, I would say, went from heroic to maybe more self-concerned than anything. Something happened along the way. First of all, let's talk about Berri's design. As most people know Berri today, the way she looked in Conker's Bad Fur Day, where she transformed basically into Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
Yep, 100%. That was the character design.
It's basically like if you look at Berri and you look at Lola Bunny, it's like, oh yeah, it's just a palette swap Lola Bunny without the ears.
Yeah, and if you thought that was a coincidence, Conker's new girlfriend in Other Bad Day was just going to be a rabbit.
Yeah, Bunny. Yeah. So I understand what Bad Fur Day was going for. I think that in the isolated context of Bad Fur Day, the changes to Berri do make sense. Berri and Conker are now in a relationship, 100%. They've been in a relationship for some time at the point that Bad Fur Day begins, and they've already run into couple strife. They've already kind of started getting a bit weary of each other's habits, and they're starting to chafe a little bit under the confines of their relationship.
Maybe it was one of those like dating someone is great, but then like you go home after the date and now they're actually living together. So,
or it's like some people make better friends, and then if they try to start to date, then they realize that they're just not compatible in that regard. So reading the instruction manual story, the relevant part that addresses Conker and Berri's relationship in Bad Fur Day, I'm going to read this little bit here. This is when Conker is in the cock and plucker at the beginning of the game. It says, his mind wandered to thoughts of his girlfriend, Berri, and why she had such a problem with him having fun without her. As he sat contemplating giving her a call, he moved uncomfortably in his chair. His bladder ache had now reached the point where it couldn't be ignored. That part is mostly about Conker and pissing. But her instruction manual bio reads, the first time Conker introduced Berri to his mates at the bar, everyone thought that they made an unlikely couple. Whereas Conker is short, impatient, and cute, Berri is tall, impatient, and cute. They all agreed it'll end in tears. So most of Bad Fur Day is written in jest, and I know we shouldn't read too much into it, but what I will say about this is I think we can ascertain that Conker and Berri got together. Obviously, like, they realized that there was a spark between them in Pocket Tales, but maybe, they still kept each other at arm's length, or maybe Berri was like, I don't want to date, that will ruin things. And then young Conker happened, and then, like any good James Bond movie, it ends with them in bed. And then they become a couple, and they quickly realize we're too similar.
Yeah.
Berri goes through this maybe growth spurt. Maybe she gets some chest enhancements. I don't know what's going on there.
She Gattaca's her height.
Yeah. Maybe she's wearing lifts in her shoes. Yeah, we should talk about her clothing really quick. So she's completely redesigned. Unlike Conker, who had some tweaks to kind of make him a little bit more of a hip contemporary cartoon character. Mm-hmm. Berri is now wearing like a short tank top that's pink. She's wearing all pink with yellow trim, and her tank top has a C on it, which I guess stands for Conker.
It's just Lola's Space Jam like basketball jersey, except it's pink.
It's pink and yellow instead of white and blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is wearing shoes, unlike Lola, which you would think you would want to wear shoes in a basketball context, but okay. Berri is wearing yellow and pink sneakers. I don't know if they're actually modeled after any famous brand, like their Converse shoes or not, but yeah, it's basically she's wearing like athletic shorts or short shorts and a tank top that shows off her midriff, like Lola Bunny. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's blonde now, and she's got blue eyes instead of green.
I mean, that happens. People's eye color change sometimes.
Or she's wearing contacts.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always argued that Conker and Berri, though, they're probably the sort of couple, and I think everybody has encountered a couple like this in their lives, where, some people, they get together, and it actually broadens their horizons. They become better people as a result of the influence of each other, and they become more understanding, they become more tolerant, maybe, they really just become more well-rounded, like their partner helps them fill in the gaps that weren't filled before the relationship. And other people, however, they get in the bubble of the relationship and they start reinforcing each other's worst traits. They start basically saying, oh yeah, you like that? You like doing that? I like doing that. It must be okay. And we're the only two people in the world that matter. So we're doubling down. We're tripling down on our habits and our behaviors. And eventually the people become so toxic and so just absolutely vile that anybody outside of that relationship bubble wants nothing to do with them. I think that's what happened to Conker and Berri.
Yeah, I don't think they disliked each other either. Like, the few glances we get at their place that they're living together, they seem pretty comfortable with each other, considering some of the stuff that's just out on the shelves.
Yeah, so in Live and Reloaded, at the very least, we see that Berri has a vibrator on her chest of drawers, just out in the open, which, fair. Like, that's not a problem. Okay. I want to address something, because I did, pull from various resources for this episode. And, most of that was in, officially published materials, like instruction books, Rare's website, player's guides. But I also just checked out, on a lark, Conker Wikia.
I'm sorry.
Under the trivia section for Berri, hold on, I have to read this verbatim. I didn't actually, transcribe this for the show notes, but I really wanted to read this. Let's see. Under trivia, and this is a little bullet point, it says, Berri is clearly a slut or a porn star. In Live and Reloaded, there are a few hints, one being a vibrator on her dresser drawer. So...
I'm going to edit this right now.
I was like, make a mental note of that. I definitely want to bring that up. Oh, what a resource that is. Anyway.
A resource that I'm nominally in charge of, I'm sorry.
Wait, you really?
I'm the admin of this wiki, yes.
Are you?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I brought it to your attention then.
Yep. Me and Briegel usually keep an eye on it, but we've both been busy.
I thought you were in charge of the other one.
No, this is the only one.
Oh no! I invented a better one in my head.
No, there was another one on the Rare Wiki project that had a dedicated server, but nobody was using it, so they kind of shut everything down.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I was looking for that one and I couldn't find it.
Okay, I'm gonna check watch this page, so I'll actually get updates when someone tries to edit this shit.
So, okay, just because you own a vibrator doesn't mean you are a slut. Can we just put that out in the universe now?
Yes.
Let's be sex positive, people. There's nothing wrong with self-pleasure. But yes, I think it's implied that Conker and Berri have moved in together at this point. I think it's Berri's house that we see her working out in the beginning of the game. And then that little scene where she is abducted. But it's got flower wallpaper. And I think after the events of young Conker moves in with Berri at her place in Willow Woods, which is, adjacent to or part of the Panther Kingdom. So, yeah, that's where we see at the beginning of the game, Berri's doing her little workout. Conker calls from the Cock and Plucker and says, I'll be a little bit late. And Berri doesn't pick up because she's got her headphones on.
Yeah. And despite Conker complaining about her in the manual, they seem pretty, how to phrase this? They seem pretty okay with their each other just kind of doing whatever. Because when Conker comes across her at various points in the game, or when Berri comes across him, they don't really seem upset with what each other are getting up to. Just sort of a hey, are you okay? Okay, good, fine, sure, sort of thing.
Well, see, I viewed it as Berri was upset with Conker because, she's complaining about him in that scene that we catch back up with her at maybe 30-40% of the way in the game. And she answers the door, and it's the Rock Man from the Rock Solid Club.
Right, yeah.
And so she gets grabbed for some reason by the Rock Man, and then the next time we see her, it's in the back of the Rock Solid Club with Don Weezo and the Weasel Mafia, who it's implied they own.
Well, we see her in the Go-Go cage first.
You see her in the Go-Go cage first, yes. But then you really catch up with her in the back room of the Rock Solid Club, and it's implied Don Weezo is the owner or has a stake in it. And, Berri's kind of like, she was at first like cold to Conker, like she was pretending like she didn't know him or didn't hear him. But I think, they're just having a little bit of a tiff at this moment because Conker's going out with the boys with a Z and not making time for Berri, which of course becomes a plot point when Conker comes to his realization at the end of the game. But there is this kind of like back and forth between them. It's like, oh, you don't have time for me, I don't have time for you. Which they do work through for poor reasons as the game progresses. Because, Berri seems to be just like, oh yeah, well, I'm just gonna... Okay, so why was she grabbed? Was it ever explained why she was grabbed by the rock person and then kind of made the mall of the Weasel Mafia?
I kind of assumed that, like, I don't know, Conker owed them money or something. Maybe it was his bar tab finally coming to her.
I've spent 25 years trying to make sense of this dumbass plot, which, to be fair, was mostly improvised completely.
Oh, yeah. Completely ad-libbed. I think they said they were just kind of making the end of the game and the beginning of the game and working towards the middle, and however much they got done by the time it was time to ship, that's what got done.
Yeah, and like the lines were basically ad-libbed. This is where they brought Louise O'Connor in, and she just did a Valley Girl voice.
Like, gah. Yeah.
Obviously. Like, have you seen Clueless? Yeah. With like the vocal fry kind of affectation on it. And this doesn't really make sense, but you can kind of make it work because we do know at the end of the game that Don Weezo is aligned with the Panther King. The Panther King is being conned by the Professor. And
who retroactively has history with Conker.
It does kind of work, yes. Who has history with Conker and Berri.
And Berri.
So basically, I mean, talk about evil Acorn being dumb. This whole plot is dumb by design, but everybody has their own agenda and they're all playing each other. And the Professor tries to explain to the Panther King that, oh yeah, your broken little side table, the only way to fix that is with a red squirrel.
I've headcanoned this stuff with the Panther King so much. Like, he's the Panther King. They've got 9 lives, right? He's a cat. So I've been kind of like counting all the different depictions of him through like 12 Tales and other versions and whatnot. It's like, okay, these are multiple lives. This is just a regeneration of the Doctor that's really fucking dumb. Like, once he dies and regenerates again, we'll roll a better one, unless this is the last life, and then I guess he's out of luck.
Well, we know the Panther King has been alive for centuries, so yeah, there might be a little bit of that too. Are you saying KO the cat is an early Panther King?
Yeah.
Is that confirmed, or is that just a hunch?
I mean, you can point to a lot of stuff we have seen about 12 Tales and point to where it ended up in Bad Fur Day, and like I'm pretty certain that the Panther King grew out of KO the cat.
I never consider that, because obviously there's some very like obvious ones, like Bug of the Nut was the Cyclops in the like, ancient Greece world. But okay, well, anyway, but besides the point, Berri is just like, oh yeah, well, whatever, I'll be in the mob now, Conker. How do you like them apples? And I mean, whatever. Conker goes about his day. He joins or rejoins the SHC, or it is basically involuntarily recruited, and then, kind of defeats the Teddies as a soldier. And then at the end of the game, they all meet back up. Conker meets back up with Berri and Don Weezo. And basically Don Weezo plays his gambit here, and he's like, all right, I got a job for you. And you can be really rich from this job. It's in and out real quick. I want you to rob the Federal Reserve Bank. And this is where I'm like, Conker, Berri, really? Like you're going through with this? You're going to just go in there? And it sets up a Matrix parody. It sets up the Enter the Vertex Matrix, like almost 1-to-1 recreation of the shootout sequence in the Matrix.
It's a really cool sequence.
I do question, just like I question Neo and Trinity just gunning down those guards who are just doing a job. But okay, like I know they need to rescue Morpheus. I get it. But what wanton violence, really?
Yeah, this is kind of where I think, again, young Conker helps give some context, because, like, they've both been doing gritty spy work in their 20s.
I guess that's true.
They're just kind of both mentally, like, numb to it. It's just whatever.
They've got a license to kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, they decide they're going to rob the bank and get a cut. Up for Conker, his greed has been growing throughout the Bad Fur Day. And, you know, he's been getting the Feiho, the little pockets of googly-eyed cash.
Hey, over here. Yeah.
And he's been getting a little bit lustful in his material wealth. And
I mean, I noticed Berri doesn't say no to the bank heist either. So
no, and maybe they're just thinking, well, this opportunity has fallen in our laps. If we do this, we could just be living the easy life from this point on. Again, I don't know how well the character work really hangs together here, because it's basically just setting up these sequences, which are parodies and which would be fun little video gamey set pieces. And it's all a comedy in the vein of South Park, which was in vogue at the time. I get all of that. And I'm trying to make sense of something that wasn't really meant to be made sense of. But this is what I do. This is what we do here at DK Vine. So you know what? Whatever. So anyway, yada, yada, yada. They get launched into space because the bank vault is actually a spacecraft designed by the Professor. Yeah, the Professor is there. The Panther King is there. Don Weezo is in cahoots with the Panther King. So it might suggest that all of this thing with Berri and Don Weezo was just a trap for Conker at the end of the day, at the end of the Bad Fur Day. They're in space. But of course, the Professor is playing the Panther King as revenge for the Milk Wars. That's a whole thing. We're not even going to get into that right now. He's implanted this extraterrestrial embryo in his chest, which is basically a xenomorph. How they got away with that, I don't know. But they got away with it. Don't tell 20th Century Fox, now Disney. And then the chest burster kills the Panther King. Actually, no. Berri dies before the xenomorph.
Yeah, Berri dies before.
Yeah. Okay, so
this is why I think them having some like spy espionage military background helps, because again, she's just very blasé about the whole thing. She's just like, "Don't worry, babe, I got it," and then dies.
Yeah, she's like, "I got it," and then Don Weezo guns her down with his Tommy gun, and she dies. It's a very horrific death too. It's not played for laughs.
It's pretty gruesome. She thought she was still in a Sean Connery Bond movie, but instead she was in a Daniel Craig one. And
they hadn't even been invented yet, so she had no idea what was coming. Yeah, she basically is the tragic love interest. I guess on Her Majesty's Secret Service did it first, but yeah, she gets gunned down. She has that horrible scene where she's wheezing, trying to get breath, and then she dies. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, back in 2001, that was like legitimately shocking. Like, what are they doing?
And then she's just dead. And her body gets sucked out into space.
Yeah, the airlock gets opened up. She gets sucked out. The Professor gets sucked out. Don Weezo gets away, by the way.
Yeah, the Professor joins Wizpig and Evil Acorn with being floating around in space.
And the Panther King's corpse.
Although we know where that ended up eventually.
200 years down the line, yes. But Berri dies. And then, of course, Conker defeats Heinrich the Xenomorph, and he talks to the programmer in this fourth wall breaking sequence.
That's just log, right? We're all agreed?
No, I don't think we're all agreed. I think there are different permutations. It might be an aspect of log, a sliver of log. I think there are different ways you could read this, but ultimately what happens is Conker comes back to the Panther King's throne. He takes the throne as king, and he then realizes, wait, while I had the programmer on the line, while I effectively had this aspect of God, I had its ear, I should have asked for Berri's death to be reversed. He tries to get it to come back. It doesn't. And then Conker...
I'm going to cut him a little slack here. He's just been through some traumatic shit and very obviously had shock.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm not saying Conker is at fault for not resurrecting Berri, but I am saying that maybe both Conker and Berri equally are culpable for what happened at the end of the game. I think that they made some very poor decisions along the way.
Yes,
and
agreed.
Maybe you don't rob a bank. I'm just maybe.
Saying. Just,
if you're thinking, where did it all go wrong? Probably the part where you robbed the bank.
Yeah. Not to say that the rest of the game was necessarily the right decisions, but they probably could have stopped earlier than that.
Yeah, they could have rebounded somewhere along the way, but they crossed the line, and then Berri died. And she has been dead ever since. Now,
yep.
I have to ask you this, just from a conceptual standpoint and media criticism. Does Berri and what happened to her at the end of Bad Fur Day, does that qualify as the women in refrigerator syndrome? You know what I'm discussing? It's the...
of course I know what you're discussing.
Well, okay, let's explain to those who don't know what that is.
Fair enough. Okay. Do we want to get into why it's called Women in Refrigerators?
Well, in 1994, the Green Lantern Hal Jordan, who was just grieving over the loss of his city, Coast City, which was nuked by the cyborg Superman. Okay, let me go. Okay, there's a new Green Lantern after that, who's Kyle Rayner. He had a girlfriend, and he became Green Lantern, and he was with his girlfriend for a few issues, and then a supervillain tracked him down, murdered his girlfriend, and stuffed her in a refrigerator. And I think it was Gail Simone who coined the term women in refrigerators to basically describe any character, any girlfriend character or wife or whatever, whose only narrative purpose is to be sacrificed to give the man protagonist pain. And would you say Berri qualifies as that in Bad Fur Day, or does she skirt that trope?
Well, her name does rhyme with Berri, but no, I don't think so. She's throughout her character, she'd been around well before this, and she'd been a bit of an action girl throughout. She's arguably doing even more action stuff than Conker throughout Bad Fur Day. We're just not seeing her perspective on it. Yeah. And she only dies at the very end, stepping up to take care of stuff for Conker. So this is, I think, is very different circumstances.
Right.
If she'd been fridged back at the beginning of the game, and the entire game was just Conker morose and trying to get revenge or something, we'd be having a different discussion. But that's not what happened. She just Trinity'd up a bank vault with him. Very far cry from the helpless girlfriend who'd only been around for a few issues.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I just wanted your perspective on that. I didn't want to come in and say, actually, no, this is not problematic at all because of this reason and this reason. The DKU can do no wrong.
Whether Berri's problematic in this game or not is a different discussion, but I don't think this aspect of Bad Fur Day is one of those points.
Plus, if she was fridged, had they got stop and swap working, you could just take her then into Donkey Kong 64.
Fucking hell.
She would have been safe in Jungle Japes, is all I'm saying. She could have had a new life.
Now we know where the ice key comes from. I'd just like to point out that in some later games, like Chris Seaver's unlikely Legend of Rusty Pup, you see the ice key getting melted down in a smelting forge.
Well, that was the last chronological appearance of Berri. She did die, and she has stayed dead.
But I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about Conker Live and Reloaded then.
Okay, yes.
2005, it is one part remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day, one part prequel, one part far future sequel with the multiplayer. Now, Berri, in and of herself, is basically the same in this game as she was in Bad Fur Day. Her design has been tweaked ever so slightly. She, as I was alluding to earlier, she now has an implausible waistline, which almost looks sickly. I hate the way she looks in this game.
Yeah, it's a bit much. I think this is obviously Conker remembering her with rose-tinted glasses.
If I remembered any of my past love interest in this way, I would seriously need to talk to a therapist, because what the hell, Conker?
I still talk to some of mine on the daily.
It is established, though, that the Bad Fur Day portion of Conker Live and Reloaded is actually Conker reminiscing in real time about what happened roughly 4 years prior.
Yeah.
And that's not just DK Vine fanon. I think that was DK Vine fanon until we found out its actual literal truth.
Yeah, like, I thought that was fanon and stuff, but then, like, I pulled out the instruction manual, and it's like, oh, no, it just says that right here.
Yeah. So, everything that happens in Live and Reloaded that differs from the N64 original is basically just memory drift. It's basically Conker adding and subtracting little details. And even Bad Fur Day is Conker remembering, except it happened, like, pretty much right after, Yeah. So, Berri's design in this game, she's got a much, much slimmer waistline. She's got nipples now, you can see through her top. And she's got a very tasteful 69 on the back of her tank top.
Yeah.
Which, hey, we all love a good 69. I know 67 is the fun number these days. I do question your wardrobe choice, though, if you're just going to wear a tank top that has 69 on the back. It doesn't really leave much for nuance. There's not much mystery there.
To be fair, she was at home exercising. This is obviously her, like, this is going to get sweaty, and then I'm going to change out of it after I shower clothing.
That is true.
And she got bonked over the head and dragged out of the house before she could do so.
I do like to work out in my Speedo that just says analingus on it.
The fun part is I don't doubt you actually own that.
It's very tasteful. It's got a very classy font, so, nobody can be offended. So there are a couple of little details in Live and Reloaded that I want to point out that have added to the mystery of Berri. So, first of all, I believe it's in the bathroom stall of where the imp creature is having diarrhea at the beginning of its war.
Okay.
There is a little card on the wall, and it's Berri on the card, and the card says, "Call Berri. She's waiting for your conkers." And then it's a 555 fake phone number on the bottom.
Yeah. I'm chalking this up to Conker's subconscious again.
So
he's yeah.
In Conker's subconscious, he's like, "Oh, I bet Berri ran an adult chat hotline."
No, this is just his subconscious being like, "You should call your girlfriend."
Oh, okay. So it's Conker's guilt 4 years later manifesting in this kind of false memory placement.
Yeah, it's all very Silent Hill.
Wow, Conker is so deep. I never considered all of these possible explanations for the things I just chalked as jokes in poor taste.
I mean, they are very much.
Well, you might want to edit the Conker Wikia then to remove the part where it says, because this is the second part of that statement that says Berri is clearly a slut, because it did bring this up.
Oh, I just took that whole section out.
Okay. So you could just add a little trivia that it's clearly Conker's guilt manifested in this memory that he really should have called Berri earlier, and maybe he could have prevented this whole chain of events.
Mm-hmm.
So on the original soundtrack, which I do own, by the way, it's right up here.
Yeah, me too. It's right here.
Yeah, I've got the CD.
Distance.
I've got the CD like a fucking boomer or Gen Xer. But it is very weird because there's a picture on the original soundtrack that has Conker posed on the throne with a little beer in his hand. And Berri is posing next to him with sunglasses and leaning over, giving us some cleave. And it says, to Conker, lipstick impression, XXOO, love Berri. But the thing is, Berri was never in the throne room.
Yeah, and Conker's sitting on the throne in his Live and Reloaded outfit. So this kind of implies that at the time that this OST was put out, at least, she's back.
She's back.
Which, again, like with 12 Tales, I kind of like to think that maybe some version of Other Bad Day happened shortly after Live and Reloaded or something.
We'll talk about Other Bad Day. I think, given Conker's big reunion and the way he was written in that, which was... Conker was written very maturely for the most part in Big Reunion. And it was clearly a guy who, had basically owned up to what happened, to his shortcomings, and was working through it at the very least. I don't think Berri being alive magically really gels with that interpretation. I think...
Well, I never said they stuck together. Just that she came back.
even then, if the guilt of her death had been removed from his chest,
yeah, he probably wouldn't have woken up naked in a puddle of other squirrels
in a pansexual orgy. Which good for him, but again, we don't sex shame here on the Kongversation.
Nope.
If you are in a consensual sexual free for all, and you are a squirrel with some other squirrels, and one of them wants to insert itself in your rectum, that's all well and good, just so long as everybody's on board with it.
Yep, good for Conker.
I think we could just say that the original soundtrack, this is not necessarily supposed to be taken as hard, literal canon. This is a promotional image. It is what it is. But there is something in Live and Reloaded I wanted to address. Actually, two things. One, when you enter the Cock and Plucker in the opening file select or menu screen, there is a server in the Cock and Plucker who is not there on the N64 version. She very much looks like Berri in a tavern, an old-timey tavern
wench outfit.
Tavern wench, yes. It looks like Berri, although she's got a different hairstyle. Is this supposed to be Berri or some representation of Berri, or is this just another chipmunk?
I don't think it's Berri. A lot of the other people in the tavern are also reusing models from other characters in the game.
Yes.
Like the band playing are the Weasel Mafia. The guy behind the bar is the Sarge from the It's War levels. I think this is just a sort of Wizard of Oz, and you were there sort of thing, where people's looks got reused in the retelling of the story sort of deal. I
mean, yeah, every time we need to fill out the population in one of these games, and when I say one of these games, I could be talking about Conker with all of the Acorn people, or the Gray Squirrels, or I could be talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza with all of the animal tribes. Anytime you need to fill out these worlds, you're gonna just reuse models and assets like this. So I don't think this is Berri. I think this is just another chipmunk who works at the Cock and Plucker, and that makes the world all the richer if there's not just one chipmunk rolling around. But There is another appearance of Berri in Chapter X in the multiplayer story campaign in the Future War segment.
Yes.
There is a magazine, and this is all played as a joke, as everything in the Conker series post Pocket Tales is generally played as a joke. But this is the magazine Fur Only. It's an adult magazine, presumably for those who have an inclination towards the furry creatures of the world of Rare. And this is, 200 some years in the future. But Berri is on the cover of this magazine. Now, the joke is that the top secret plans for this base are just printed in the Fur Only magazine, and that's how it was discovered. But what's Berri doing on there? What's this character who
maybe it's a throwback issue.
It's a throwback in centuries in the future. It's like, oh yeah, here's Marilyn Monroe. She posed in the first issue of Playboy.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never bought a nudie mag, so
I'm not saying
what gets on these.
I don't think anybody under a certain age has ever bought a nudie mag at this point. I think you're right. This could just be a throwback issue. If she was like a famous starlet at the turn of the century, and it's just like, here's this vintage.
She did do like competent spy work. Maybe this was just how she got the plans out.
Yeah. Who is that famous spy who is also like a beautiful celebrity? Hedy Lamarr. Maybe Berri developed a similar reputation, and because this was all about the top secret plans for a base, then that was the thematic link. Here's this famous spy from history who was a beautiful furry icon.
Before we move on from Live and Reloaded, do you think her military class was Sneaker? Those are like the only girls in the military.
Maybe they didn't have those classes yet at that point, or like,
that's true.
Those are like more soldier classes, and they, like, this is a whole like spy division of the SHC that we didn't really see in Bad Fur Day and Live and Reloaded. So, yeah, I think that it's possible she's a sneaker, but I think like there's a whole subclass of just secret agent that we didn't get to play as in Live and Reloaded's multiplayer.
Well, maybe for the next remake.
Young Conker 2, we it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So we did talk about the kind of scrapped beginnings of Berri in Conker's Quest and 12 Tales Conker 64. So let's talk about the scrapped future of Berri. Yeah. The plans for her in Conker's Other Bad Day, which currently considered non-canon, obviously. To our knowledge, Berri's still very much dead, especially when you factor in Big Reunion. And of course, the big one, her absence in IDARB. But let's talk about her planned resurrection at the hands of Chris Seaver and co. This is from the design docs for Conker's Other Bad Day, kind of the pitch. The broad pitch of the broad strokes of the game when they were pitching it to Rare shortly after the release of Conker's Bad Fur Day. And there's 1.5 pages I've kind of copied over here. There's a section here that says, Berri's not quite dead. Would you like to read that, Jim?
Sure. Berri is still alive, and this time there are 2 of her. So, we're getting that out of the way. Although you won't realize this until the very end when you get to the punchline. The first Berri is the original one, only this time she's out for revenge on Conker and is very, very bad. Oh no. She's the one who controls the Weasel Professor from behind the scenes until we find out he's nothing but a robot invented by her after she survived. And how did she survive? Well, immediately after being blown out of the airlock, she was picked up by a passing alien craft, along with the professor, and revived. But not only that, but she was given incredible technical knowledge by them, then told to return and help her fellow chipmunks. Of course, instead she's decided to get revenge and starts building a base on the moon, as one does, and sets the professor to work on a new strain of teddies and the secret weapon, the Death Starfish.
Oh, God.
She also clones herself, creating a new, almost perfect Berri, into which she will be transplanted. Her own body is reconstructed into a cyborg by the aliens. This Berri hangs in a liquid-filled container, and we're led to believe it's the real one.
All right, I'll read this next bit. So this is the proposed end of Conker's other bad day.
Yeah.
All right. From out of the heavens, a large gray arse-shaped disc-like object appears and positions itself over the windmill. The Death Starfish has arrived, and the countdown to destruction has begun. This forms the final part of the game, and it's mainly concerned with Conker getting to and defeating the Weasel Professor, or so he thinks, and destroying the Death Starfish before it destroys the world. We are now introduced to the real power behind the Death Starfish throne, the cyborg Berri. Looks like Conker's wedding plans will have to be cancelled. Yeah, Conker, by the way, got engaged to Bunny, this very obvious other Lola Bunny stand-in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Lola Bunny for legal reasons, just Bunny.
Just Bunny. Completely original character. All right.
Yep.
And then it says, and finally, once Conker has defeated Berri with the aid of the Panther King, who ends up being the Emperor of the known universe. What? He returns to his castle.
Doctor Who.
He returns to his castle, and the royal wedding between Conker the King and Bunny the Rabbit commences. Could this really be the happiest of happy endings for Conker? I don't think so. The Berri clone has survived, the one in the fluid tank, and remembers nothing of the previous day's events. She turns up at the wedding just as these words are spoken by Frankie. If anyone knows of any reason why these two should not be wed, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. Berri clears her throat. Roll end credits. Yeah, we talked about this way back when we talked about these design docs, this pitch. Mm-hmm. I feel like it subverts the ending of Bad Fur Day a little too much to my liking.
It does.
I do admire the gusto of just why the hell not, but
yeah,
at the same time,
but that's like even having a sequel at all is sort of why the hell not. I admire them leaving it on this kind of like, well, what the hell happens ending right there. Like, how does that situation resolve? Not even getting into the fact that we were going to have a giant goatsy in the sky and boss fight. So, like, in a vacuum, I don't necessarily disagree with the way they were choosing to end it. It's just, like, the fact that she's even back to do that ending with her at all is, kind of a, like... I don't know how I feel about it. And
although... Can I just say, I was just talking about the cyborg Superman, and I think it's a little bit weird that we're going to have a cyborg Berri coming to blow up shit just like the cyborg Superman. Because when Superman died, you see, he came back initially, or we thought he came back as 4 different characters. One of them was a cyborg, and one of them was a clone. So I presume there is going to be an armored Berri somewhere, and maybe...
that would have been interesting.
A Berri wearing a visor that was a cold and calculating killer.
Yeah, I wonder what they were going to be riffing off of specifically for the cyborg Berri. I can just imagine them doing the sort of like ripping the skin off the Terminator thing with her. Yeah. Considering
how like the Terminator homages in early Live and Reloaded materials and like the beginning of Future War. I think they definitely were jonesing to do a Terminator pastiche.
That just makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, Berri didn't come back, though. Berri's still dead. So that's the end of Berri's story for now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, really, that is the end of Berri's story for now.
Yeah, it, like... Big Reunion Episode 2 had a release date, which implies that like the script was done and maybe even like voice recording and stuff was done. I would love to find out if like she was intended to be in it at all, if Conker was actually going to see any of his friends that were supposed to be at the reunion.
I would wager if any characters had been planned, it would have been Greg or Rodents. I don't think they would have touched the ending. I don't think they would have felt We've
talked to Team Dakota on the podcast before. You still have any of their contact?
It was 11 years ago, Jem.
Fine.
So, Jem, we have this thing called the DK Vine hotline.
Oh, God. Still? Okay.
Yeah, because it's a phone number, 1-202-630-VINE. That is 8463. Now, we're not available to answer the phone, obviously. However, if you leave, like, a message and sound cute, we may play it on the show. And somebody did leave a message about Berri the Chipmunk.
Hello, DK Vine. This is TJ. Let's talk about Berri from the Conker series. So I've always thought it was interesting, looking back at that prototype footage for the early Conker N64 game, that build alone, maybe it was multiple builds of that, but it's funny how just for that game alone, they were clearly cycling through like 3 different designs for her. There's the one we most recognize from that time where she looks the most like Conker and has like the light orange skin. There's a pink version of her that I don't know how much of that we've seen. That's definitely in the official video that they showed. And we also saw a screenshot of her with that shape and face design, but having gray fur and blonde hair, closer to her final design. So I think out of those 3, I do think the gray and blonde is probably my favorite look for her. I do kind of wish she could have kept those smaller, stouter proportions, though. Even if you wanted to go with her bad fur-day personality, which is really vapid and vain and kind of ditzy, it would have been funny seeing that come out of a character that's Conker's height. Then she really would have just been like, you know, it would have made them better parallels, I guess. Another thing that's interesting, it's also interesting that the 2 of them kind of have the same ditty-dixie design philosophy where, like, oh, if the guy has a tail, and the woman is going to have hair, like long hair, she can't also have a tail. We don't see Dixie's tail, and I guess we don't see Berri's tail in any of these designs because she has the long hair replacing it. But yeah, I guess that's my opinion. I do wish she could have kept, I do like the final color scheme they went with, but I do kind of wish she could have kept those shorter, Conker-like design proportions. So yeah, thank you for taking the call.
Well, thank you for the call, TJ. Like mine. I said the same thing about the Dixie ponytail versus tail dynamic. But you know what's weird to me about Berri's coloring? And this is only weird to me as somebody who lives in the Americas. So, squirrels and chipmunks, right? Here, we have gray squirrels. In the UK, in Rare's native homeland, they are considered an invasive species. But here, gray squirrels are native, and a red squirrel is a more uncommon sight. However, the chipmunks I usually see are usually brown. They're usually
brown with stripes.
Yeah, so I think that it's weird how Conker and Berri are just inversed ultimately from what I am used to for the 2 species.
But again, yeah, that's looking at it from an American perspective.
Which is the only way to look at things. USA! USA! America! America! Yeah! Pew, 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 pew. That was me shooting my guns. Oh no, I just shot Berri again. Fuck.
Oh no! Hyle, how could you?
I'm just kidding. There's no Berri merchandise with which to shoot on this cluttered desk that I was talking about.
Yeah, like, kind of suspiciously so.
So, yeah, let's talk about that. Thank you for the call, DJ, by the way. By the way, Traveler of the Stars, who has stuck with us like a champion in the live stream. Thank you. I realize Conker is probably not your forte, Traveler, but I appreciate your presence all the same. A Traveler said, in relation to Conker's Other Bad Day, imagine this on GameCube. I cannot. Okay, so even if Rare and Nintendo had stayed bosom buddies, even if they, had, let's say Nintendo did outright purchase Rare as Rare was intending, I don't think Conker's Other Bad Day would have ever seen the light of day.
Yeah, no, that was some of the stuff in this pitch is a bit much, even for Xbox, honestly.
It is a minor miracle that Conker's Bad Fur Day came out at all. When it did, like even the Conker project, from conception as Conker's Quest to release as Conker's Bad Fur Day, it's a miracle it just wasn't canceled. The fact that they reworked it in such a striking way, and that it actually was able to be released, albeit to limited promotion and ultimate lack of sales success. I think, hey, that's pretty wild to me. Still, to this day, 25 years later, I still can't believe they got away with that.
Yeah. Which is not to say that the GameCube didn't have mature games on it.
Okay, but there are degrees in which you present mature material. And I would say that the maturity of Conker is in its immaturity in the way it presents it. And I think there's a difference between having a game that is for adults and a game where you have a giant asshole in the sky shooting death lasers out of its rectum.
Yeah.
So,
Goatsy in the sky with diamonds.
Goatsy in the sky with diamonds. Goatsy in the sky. Oh, no.
With diamonds.
No. We don't need the lawyers after us for singing Beatles songs so expertly that they confuse it with the real product. Don't need the Beatles on my bad side. That would be just mortifying. So,
fine.
I'm already on Chris Seaver's bad side because I argue that Pocket Tales is canon. I'm pretty sure he hates me. So,
I mean, I've argued that, and he still talks to me.
I know, but you're less upfront about you don't make it half of your personality being evil acorn this and honker the skunk that.
I also ask him about the other things he's worked on.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. And I'm like, hey, Chris Seaver, what do you think about Forest Wong? And I give 2 fingers as I jump out of the plane. I get all due respect to Chris Seaver. I really love Conker, and I really love the direction the Conker series took. However, I'm a full picture kind of guy. I love Conker's Pocket Tales for what it is.
Yeah.
A delicious
and I'm glad
mess.
that people can now play it on the Rare Super Pocket.
Yeah, the Super Pocket Rare Edition, actually, Jeb.
No, yes, sorry.
And it's also available as part of Rare Collection 1 on the Evercade cartridge.
Yes.
Looking around my desk, my cluttered desk, in which I don't think Young Conker would work well if I had a HoloLens. It's I was just thinking, if she ever sends me a HoloLens, I don't know, I would have to spend days cleaning it up because this is just, it's even worse than the video you've recorded.
Yeah, my current tentative plan, if I'm not going to record it at my place, is to send one to Banana Meteor because they've just got that entire room in their home dedicated to cases full of Rare merch. Which would just kind of be the perfect place to play it. I've
got so much Rare merch right in front of me, and one of the things I'm looking at, right, are the Fan Gamer pins. The various DKU Fan Gamer pins, which I have on a nice, lovely pin board that they released, and I'm looking at all the various Conker ones on there, right? We have Conker.
They've got some nice ones.
Yeah, we have Conker from off of Diddy Kong Racing in a plane. That's the most surprising one. We have Conker in his SHC army gear, holding the guns. We have Berri holding the feck off crows sign. We have Greg, and we have a fascist little teddy bear, a little teddy.
Yep.
I don't see.
Everybody loves their fascist little teddy bears.
Yeah, I don't see Berri anywhere as part of the pin set. And then I look to my left. What do I see? There's King Conker as a plush. Okay. Oh, and there's the Great Mighty Pooh. He sings. The Chris Marlowe has his operatic voice coming out of it. I look to my right, and I see the first 4 figures Conker statue that I can't believe I own. The King Conker statue. But again...
Yep, mine's right over there, too.
Again, no Berri anywhere to be seen. So what is Berri's place in the wider world of the DKU circa 2026?
It's absolutely nowhere. They've actually kind of removed her from places she used to be.
Well,
if you look at...
They didn't George Lucas her. Like, she's still in... Conker Live and Reloaded just came to...
No, they, like, Stalined her.
No. Conker Live and Reloaded just came to Windows 11, and it's on Game Pass right now.
True. Yes,
and Berri's still there. Berri is still seen in both Conker's Pocket Tales in Rare Collection 1 and on the Super Pocket Rare Edition. And she's still in Conker's Bad Fur Day on Rare Replay. But, yes, I know what you're talking about. Speaking of First Four Figures statues... So First Four Figures has done a couple more Conker statues since they did the King Conker one, which I can no longer afford and have no room for. But they did the Soldier Conker one. They did a Greg, the Grim Reaper statue. And they've done one, which is the game's box art logo.
Yep.
And that one it's funny because the box art of Conker's Bad Fur Day, it's very minimalistic. It's the logo and it's Conker and Berri leaning against the logo. In fact, on the YouTube and SoundCloud upload of this episode, the render depicting Berri from off of Bad Fur Day is the one where she's leaning against the Bad Fur Day logo. However, when First Four Figures released that statue, they omitted Berri.
And they were asked about this, and they said, we wanted to include her, and we were not allowed to.
Yeah. I mean, all those problematic social media posts she would have made had she not been gunned down. I get it. I think that given her design and given the way we now look at things that are just very obviously done for the sole purpose of titillation, I guess I understand that. However, it is a shame that she was omitted from that. And it is a shame that given that she canonically was gunned down in space and sucked out with half the Conker cast in orbit around the planet, that she wasn't referenced in Big Reunion. Although I would argue that Conker's portrayal in that game still has echoes of Berri's death weighing on him. She wasn't on the Rare team in #IDARB, the aforementioned IDARB. And yeah, she's dead, and that would be weird. But you know what? Richard Nixon is also dead, and he's playable in that game. So, would have worked. And, you know, despite Bad Fur Day being billed as starring Conker and Berri, that seems so odd in retrospect, because she doesn't really factor into the game all that much.
It would have been really cool if Live and Reloaded, gave us a second campaign from Berri's point of view.
Yeah.
And maybe she goes through some of the same events, and maybe she goes through some unique ones that are just her stuff that Conker's not involved in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Despite that billing, I guess you could make the argument, yeah, she is the deuteragonist of the Conker series, you know, the second lead, similar to your Diddy Kongs. But I don't know. I would say these days, Birdie and Greg are far more prominent as, like, supporting characters. I would argue that Rodent is viewed as the ally who has, like, the most agency, who's the most proactive, or even Frankie the Pitchfork, even, you know, like, and I would say out of all of the Conker characters, the Great Mighty Pooh is the one who most normies know of aside from Conker.
Yeah, it has more merch than any of the other secondary characters.
Oh yeah, there's a statue of the Great Mighty Pooh as well.
There's a statue, there's a plush, there's he shows up in several pin sets.
Did U2's do a release of him?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was in the U2's pin set at least. I don't actually know if they did a figure of him.
I was like, I know Fangamer didn't do a pin of the Great Mighty Pooh because I would own that if they did.
No, but
yeah,
U2's did.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a shame given where Berri started off, or at least the intention for her character. She was originally going to be playable for half of the game, or even just an alternate path you could take in 12 Tales. And now she's dead and mostly forgotten except by weirdos like you and me. So I guess my final question is Berri a failed character? I know she still has her fans. I know that when I announced this episode, people are like, yeah, I love Berri. So no slight intended there. But in the grand scheme of things, is Berri a failed character considering where she started off?
I don't think she's a failed character so much as we have failed her as a character.
So much as we have failed her as a human species. Really, where it all started to go wrong was 2001. And I know people will talk about 9/11.
Yeah, it's when we found that monolith in Africa.
People talk about 9/11 and the forever wars and the surveillance state and racial profiling really ramping up and the monolith in Africa. But you know what? I would say where it really started to go wrong was earlier that year, where we let Berri, this perfectly credible character, we let her be gunned down in outer space. And where has it gotten us 25 years later? Well, look around you. Look at the state of the world. That's because we let that happen.
We really should have let her death starfish go see the White House.
This has been a File 2 production.